broadcast this morning, I'd like you to picture this scene as described by MSF communications officer Noor Al Aqsa. The hospital corridors were filled with patients, but unlike what I have witnessed before, where most of the patients were women and children, today it was mainly men. They lay in their beds in the hallways because the rooms are already packed with injured people. They had visible gunshot wounds in their limbs, and their clothes were soaked with blood. And these are people that were attacked for a second time on the 1st of June. And MSF has raised a serious concern. They've raised the alarm where people who have been collecting aid from the US Israeli backed distribution sites has now become a deadly exercise for the people of Palestine. And this is the reason why we are going across to Daryl Bala this morning and joined by Claire Manara, emergency coordinator at Doctors Without Borders, MSF. Claire, good morning to you. Welcome to the show. And also coming to us at a very, very crucial time, at a very, very difficult time for yourself and for the people of Palestine.
Thanks. It's good to speak to you.
Yes, Claire. In fact, MSF have actually sound the alarm, and we've seen the events of the last few days, people collecting aid, and this has now become a deadly weapon. And I'm sure, MSF has raised major, major concerns, as I've described what the communications officer, Noor Al Aqsa, had to say.
Mhm. Yes, that's right. We work in Nasser Hospital, and I was there the other day, and it was just as horrific as she described. Normally, it's extremely alarming because we have children in the wards who are suffering from third-degree burns, literally with their skin peeling off, and it's heartbreaking to see that. But now the wards are filled with young men who have gone to the distribution sites to collect food for their families. And these distribution sites are in some of the most dangerous parts of Gaza. So the men are going there and then they're being shot at. And the ones who do manage to survive have to fight for the food that they receive. So it's absolutely unacceptable.
Yes, and you mentioned dangerous, but also at the same time, how dehumanizing this is for the people of Palestine, where on the one side we see starvation being used as a weapon of war, and the little relief that they actually have hope in. And when that relief actually turns to a deadly exercise like being shot at, and you, as you described, you are seeing the result of that, the consequences of that at the Nasser hospital.
It is. It's devastating because the Palestinian people are some of the bravest and most resilient people that I've ever met. Our staff continue to go to work every day in the hospitals, though they know that they might be bombed. They know that at home, their family members are often injured or killed by airstrikes while they're at work, and they're still trying to help their people. There's this blockade that's been going on since the 2nd of March is just beyond words, really, because we have aid at scale at the borders, and some of it is being let in, but it's going to difficult places on very unsafe roads, and we need access to this aid to distribute it ourselves safely and to help the people in line with humanitarian principles.
Yes, Clay, many a times what we see on media visually, or also what is actually written about what is taking place in Gaza, sometimes it is reality doesn't hit home because we are actually far removed from the situation. For someone like yourself, for your colleagues as healthcare workers, and also looking at the patients that actually come in, I actually shudder to think what it feels like being in their shoes. And perhaps, if you could just take us through, what does it feel like being a healthcare, a service provider under these horrific circumstances?
Well, it honestly breaks my heart every day to see the patients here because I see young men and teenagers who have lost their limbs and who will never have a future. And then I think of my own family and compare it to that, to the children and young people in my family. And then I see the women who can't feed their children and they're just sitting by watching them die. The elderly people, there's no way they can reach any distribution site. And it's painful to see that when you imagine your parents at home being shot at or being forced out of their homes onto the streets with nothing, with no food, no clean water, and they've done nothing to deserve that.
Yes, and also it's not about just providing the healthcare service to the patients. It's about providing them under the most difficult conditions, without the necessary tools that is required, without the necessary medication, without the necessary equipment. And I think that alone is heartbreaking as well, where you feel at times, I suppose, as a healthcare provider, you feel very, very helpless in terms of not providing the quality of healthcare that is actually required, and this in a very dire situation, a totally abnormal situation that we find ourselves in Gaza right now.
That's right. And we're running out of very basic supplies like gauze and sterile compresses that we need to dress the burns and to change these dressings safely. And we know that soon we'll run out of pain medicine. And to watch children having their burn dressings change with no pain medication means that they're in agony. So to witness that every day is so hard, not just for us, but for our Palestinian staff and for their families as well. It's something that no one should have to go through.
Yes, clearly, and I suppose the biggest shock came when the 9 out of 10 children that were actually brutally killed, and together with their father, who actually passed away a day later. And once again, we are talking about someone, a doctor who is supposed to save lives, in Dr. Allah as well, and yes, she was rendering a service. To the people of Palestine, to her people, she was rendering a service, and then to be overcome and with this tragedy when 9 out of her 10 children were actually killed together with her husband.
Yes, and in the past few days, for our staff, we've had several staff who have gotten the news while they've been at work that their family members have been killed, including their children. And this is also at the distribution sites, but also from shelling, from tanks, or from airstrikes, bombing from the air. And these days it's in areas that we thought were safe. So they're not even in a displacement zone. They're not in the red area. They're in places we thought were fine to circulate, but now it's not safe to be anywhere. And this is something that everyone has to put up with every day, not knowing if they're going to live or die.
Claire, we've seen reports now starting to surface where staff at the hospitals are now starting to donate blood.
That's right. Well, already our hospitals were over capacity. Our IPD is always more than full, and there are patients out in the corridors. And the lack of blood is a serious problem because even with the blood that is donated by people, a lot of people are anemic now, so their blood cannot be used. And this is due to the blockade since the 2nd of March on any food, fuel, medical supplies coming in. Though there has been some trucks coming in with aid, it hasn't reached the people, and it has barely reached us because the way it's coming in is not safe. So we need unhindered access to this aid at scale, and everything can only improve with an immediate ceasefire, and that's really what we're asking for.
Yes, Claire. And also, you are on record talking about the events with regard to the aid delivery, which is obviously dehumanizing, dangerous, and ineffective as well. What needs to be done as far as humanitarian aid and the delivery of that aid? Or, what needs to be done in your mind, and also looking at it from Doctors Without Borders, from a MSF perspective?
Well, firstly, definitely there has to be a ceasefire and a sustained ceasefire because it's impossible to work in these conditions. Not to mention the suffering that the Palestinians keep going through and the ethnic cleansing that is continuing while the world is watching. After that, if we can access our aid and provide it at scale, we mean in the quantity required by the population in all areas and not just where the Israeli forces are telling us to be, then this is the only thing that will help the population, and we need the world to put pressure on all the governments to allow this to happen.
Well, certainly. And also, I think, you are calling to action from an MSF perspective as well. And I think, you've covered some of that in the previous question that obviously I have asked, because at this point in time, Claire, I'm sure you'll agree with me then, and you strongly would advocate that the situation on the ground cannot continue much longer, because at some point in time, this is going to reach total breaking point.
Yeah, well, I'm scared that this situation could continue longer, but we are already at breaking point, though it looks like there's no signs of anything stopping. It just gets worse and worse every day with the restrictions on us. It's really difficult to even get to the hospitals to be able to work, and some of our staff end up there for 48 hours working tirelessly with no food as well, because that is also scarce. So to function like this and trying to save people is really impossible. Any further breakdown and less hospitals that are available, we can't imagine how we can even respond to that anymore.
Yes, Claire. Claire, I need to take a quick ad break. I'm going to put you on hold, and I just need to engage you for a few minutes. If you would just bear with us, please. Thank you.
Of course.
By day, this is Salam Media.
You South African, of course. You anxious about the future. We've got you covered. Build on your wealth portfolio with Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange. Visit us at 151 Stephen Dlamini Road, Musgrave, Durban, or call us on 031-202-4700 for more information. Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange, your passport to gold investment.
Send food and send kindness to those who have lost their homes and have been plunged into poverty. For those who are a meal away from starvation, a food parcel means an entire family can eat this Ramadan. That's the power of food. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
Yasin Badat Financial Advisory. Are your financial goals feeling out of reach? Yasin Badat Financial Advisory is here to turn your aspirations into achievements. Our dedicated team, armed with a history of success, is ready to guide you through the complex nature of financial and investment planning. Whether you're a seasoned investor or new to the game, our personalized solutions cater to your unique goals and risk appetite. Trust in our commitment to transparency, integrity, and excellence. Ready to unlock a world of financial freedom? Partner with us today. Call Yasin Badat Financial Advisory at +27 33 346 2071 or visit www.yasinbadat.com. Yasin Badat Financial Advisory, guiding you to financial success.
Our brothers and sisters in Palestine are enduring unimaginable hardships. Ashraful Aid teams are on the ground, delivering crucial aid to those in need. But we can't do it alone. Palestine is suffering and they need your help. Your support can make a world of difference. Visit www.ashrafulaid.org today and donate to bring hope, relief, and healing to those who are in need.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media.
لا تقل لي وحدي أو كيف السبيل.
Humanity sets the agenda.
Well, we continue our discussion with Claire Manara this morning, and we're talking with MSF, with Doctors Without Borders. And clearly, the situation on the ground is absolutely critical. It is dire. And to the extent that MSF had actually, their staff had to donate blood. And this obviously does indicate so much in terms of the scale and the gravity of the crisis that is unfolding together with the many, many challenges that MSF actually faces in providing healthcare services to the injured at Gaza. Now, Claire, just obviously to continue, and I suppose at this point in time, each and every aspect of providing health services and healthcare is a priority, and one cannot prioritize one over the other, because at this point in time, it is just total chaos. It is still total mayhem. And just looking at it from a medical service provider's perspective, in terms of how does this actually impact on the service providers like doctors, like other healthcare service providers, and also in terms of the mental and psychological trauma that service providers, healthcare service providers, are forced to endure under these horrific and abnormal circumstances.
Yes, our staff for sure, they've been going through this now for 20 months and it's getting worse every day. So many of them are forced out of their homes and not even living in shelter now. They can be targeted on the streets at any moment without access to food and without access to safe water. So this is partly what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, trying to come to work. But as well, the trauma they have from seeing, everyone here has seen family members killed or injured, and it's ongoing every day. We have a lot of small children that get wounded by airstrikes, and you can't really imagine what it's like to see that happen in front of your own eyes, to see a bomb hit your home and your children are there, your home is under fire and you can't get out. So of course, this is huge trauma for the population. I think everyone is really at their limits of what they can cope with. But the way a lot of our staff continue is just to keep helping each other, to keep going to work. And this is an incredibly brave thing to do and incredibly inspirational. Apart from that, we have our water teams who go out into the community every day to deliver safe water to the community. And they're some of the most at risk because we have to avoid places where there is shelling, where there are airstrikes, and we're not sure anymore which locations are going to be hit every day.
Sorry about that delay. For some reason, got muted. But just a patient's perspective, and those we know that the Palestinians have been known for their resolve, for their resilience, and also under severe adverse conditions. They always remain hopeful. What do you see? The response from patients in their eyes in terms of how they react despite what they are actually going through?
Well, what we see is two things, really. What I see in patients and in staff in one day is usually two different things. One is hope. Whenever there is talk of a ceasefire, you can see it gives everyone energy and inspiration to go on. And then usually within the day, this hope is destroyed when the news is that no ceasefire has been reached. And again, the devastation in the staff and the patients that they have to keep enduring this and they have no way out. And it's like a mass grave here for the Palestinian people where everyone can see the ethnic cleansing that is going on. It's terrible to think that that is the future you have, and you can't leave, you can't escape it. It's like being in prison in the worst torture imaginable.
Yes. Just finally, Clay, if you were to make an appeal to the rest of the world, to all of us who are watching or are listening to you right now, to the powers that be, to governments, to whoever at the end of the day can make an impact and influence the outcome to improve the situation of Palestinians, what would that message be? What would that appeal be?
The only thing that can help now is an immediate and sustained ceasefire. And this is not only pressure on the Israeli authorities, but it's pressure on the governments that are allowing this to continue, and the governments around the world that are giving money and paying for the weapons that are allowing this war to continue. This is the only thing that is keeping the war going, and we need it to stop now. After this, for us to have unhindered aid coming in at scale for the Palestinian people is what we need. So don't stand by and do nothing. Do what you can and put pressure on your government to respond, and the other governments around the world, because it's really up to everyone else now to do this.
Well, Claire, thank you very much for that, and also for taking time out this morning to talk to us right here at Salam Media. We wish you all the best. We wish your staff all the best as well. We wish you safety as well. And as you mentioned, that appeal has gone out, and we trust and hope that that appeal reaches the right ears. And more importantly, we need to see a lot of movement. We need to see a lot of action being taken in terms of the ceasefire. Until now, there's been a lot of talk about ceasefire, but we need to see all of that translated into action, and that needs to be the reality on the ground, so that the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza, can actually pick up the pieces. And we know it's going to take a very, very long time, but to an extent, even to bring some relief to them, and also the plight and the suffering that they have been made to endure as a result of this genocide and the ethnic cleansing that is taking place. So all the best to you, Clay, and once again, sincerely, we thank you. We do appreciate you taking time out for us this morning.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Claire Manara joining us out of Deir al-Bala this morning, and clearly it is very, very heartbreaking just to listen to what Claire has to say. And can we imagine the staff and the healthcare workers having to endure this continuously for well over 600 days, non-stop? And this is the critical, the dire situation that healthcare workers, actually find themselves in. And I recall at the time when Dr. Metz Gilbert was here, at that point in time, we still knew that it was just 1 month into this genocide. So there was still, some semblance of relief that healthcare workers could actually provide. But I think that desperation is starting to grow with health workers as well, to the extent where they are left with absolutely no choice but to donate blood. But as Claire mentioned, that even that at this point in time is becoming problematic because of the famine, because of the blockade that has been enforced, because people are unable to eat, because there are so many other deficiencies that result in their immune systems being compromised, and they cannot even donate blood to the patients that need it most. So all of this tells us that we are in a very, very serious, we are in a critical situation, and we need to continue regardless to send a very, very strong message, a powerful message to the powers that be, that this needs to stop. The time is just gone 9 a.m. Next up, we are looking at the Jummah inspirations this morning.